So I have a confession to make. When I was young, I was terrified to go on It's a Small World, and not for the reason you would expect. You would think it would have been because of the, terrifying animatronic dolls singing the most catchy, annoying song in the world, but in fact, it was the boats. When I was really little, I almost drowned in a kayaking incident. Now, I say I almost drowned. In reality, I almost drowned my bonus mother because I was climbing her like a ladder trying to escape the seaweed that was touching the bottom of my feet, but it was still terrifying. But this fear of boats persisted for a long time. And there was one day that my mom took me to Disneyland, and we probably waited an hour and a half in line to ride It's a Small World. And when I got to the front, I saw the boat and I said, nope, 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 can't do it, nope. And my poor mom is trying to explain to me that the boat is on a track in water that's like this deep. I will be absolutely fine. But I am throwing a full-on tantrum saying, I am not going on that boat! So after waiting an hour and a half, we don't even get in the ride. We just leave the line. And my mom is low-key kind of fuming, and she decides to get a little bit of revenge. She tells me that the Haunted Mansion is Pooh's house, and don't I want to go ride through Pooh's house? And the only thing I really gathered from that experience was that, Pooh's private life is kind of messed up. So my mom taught preschool for about 10 years. She taught primarily 3-year-olds, and she was one of the most amazing teachers, one of the most kind, sweetest, just wonderful teachers you could have. But that didn't mean she couldn't sometimes get a little sassy. So my mom's class actually had a pet bunny that they kept in a hutch out in the schoolyard, and one day at the end of the day, all the kids were sitting around in circle time waiting for their parents to pick them up, and they had the bunny bouncing around in the middle of them. And this was in Orange County, California, and some of the moms really were like the Real Housewives of Orange County, like that kind. And one of the moms walks in during the circle time, looks down at the rabbit, looks to my mom and goes, "What is that?" And my mom looks her straight in the eyes and says, "It's an alligator." And yes, the mom asked for the manager and went to complain, and my mom got in a little bit of trouble, but she was such a beloved teacher that she basically just got a slap on the wrist and was told, don't be so sassy. And it's one of my favorite stories. So if I'm ever a little sassy, you know who I get it from. Thank you for the reminder, Mom. When I was a kid, my mom used to brew her own black coffee in batches and then keep it in the fridge, and she would use the most delicious creamer, so I was obsessed with her coffee. And of course, since I was a child, I was rarely ever allowed to even have a sip of her coffee because we knew what it would do to me. But there was one day, probably when I was about 9 or 10, where I was going to be home alone, and Mom had asked me to go ahead and, tidy up the house a bit for her, so I asked, hey, could I please have the last little bit of coffee that's in the fridge then? And she was like, yeah, sure. So she leaves her work, and I use her creamer to make a delicious coffee, and I guzzle it down. And then I proceed to clean the house from top to bottom, moving rugs and furniture and everything. I mean, I was on a roll. I was having a great time. Right up until I try to sit down and relax after cleaning all day and watch some cartoons, and I can't physically sit down. Did I mention that her coffee was like jet fuel? I ended up getting really scared that I couldn't sit down and calling Mom at work going, what's wrong with me? And Mom was like, never again. So if you guys think I have a lot of energy now, you should have seen me as a child. According to my parents, I was like a squirrel who got electrocuted after chugging 8 cups of coffee. Like I had that much energy running through my little body. Apparently the energy just radiated off of my little body so much that when I walked into a room, you could feel it. And if my parents couldn't send me outside to get rid of some of that energy, they would have me jump in place or run up and down the stairs. But that didn't always help when my Aunt Jana came over. Now keep in mind, my Aunt Jana loved me, but she never wanted kids of her own, and she really wasn't sure how to handle that kind of energy. So whenever she would stay the night over at my parents' place in the guest room, she would draw a line at the door and tell me I could not come over that line. This was her safe space. This is where the energy needed to be kept low. But of course, I loved her so much and I wanted to have fun and play with her that I would stand at the threshold of her door just staring at her and vibrating with energy. And she'd just be like, okay. And I used to retain some of that manic energy, but it tends to come in bursts and then I need to pass out for a few hours. So I think we're all pretty familiar with the Reddit thread AITA. And recently I got to contribute my own story. So recently, my parents and I were all out shopping together, and we saw this brand of alcohol that we all really like had released a limited edition flavor. So my parents bought a pack to try, and I tried it, and it was really good. So I decided a few days later to go pick up a pack for my home, and when I got to the grocery store, they were sold out. And I was pretty sad about it, but I figured whatever. And I went over to my parents' house to go hang out with them, and I look in their fridge, and lo and behold, they have another pack of that limited edition flavor. And I look to my bonus mom and I say, hey, I just went to the store and I couldn't find it anywhere. And she said, oh yeah, your dad bought the last pack. So when my dad came down the stairs, I turned on him and I went, you stole the last pack from me. And my dad just looks to me and says, Jessica, that pack's for you as a gift for your birthday. And of course I'm just like, oh, I look over at my bonus mom and I'm like, why didn't you say anything? Why did you let me go off on my dad like that for no reason? And she just said, I knew what would happen, and it was funny. So that day I was indeed the asshole. It is not a dumb question at all, don't worry. So I posted a few videos now talking about my bonus mom, and people have been asking, what is a bonus mom? I have my own reasons for calling my stepmom my bonus mom, and it's mainly due to the fact that there are so many negative connotations surrounding the word stepmom. I think like a lot of us, I grew up with Disney movies, and can you name one Disney movie where the stepmom isn't evil? I mean, we got the OG right here. No one can forget Lady Tremaine, especially because she's been reincarnated so many times in different Cinderella movies. My favorite of which is this reincarnation. And then of course we got this one from The Parent Trap, and even though she technically was never the stepmom, she was almost the stepmom. So because I grew up with those media representations of stepmoms, I never liked calling my own stepmom a stepmom. For a while I called her my extra mom, but then I didn't like that because it just seemed like she was expendable. So finally I settled for bonus mom, and she loves it, and so do I. Okay, not only do I love that, but it reminds me that my bonus mom has this cute little thing where she says that every 10 years, her contract of marriage with my dad is up for renewal. So he needs to be on his best behavior. And I remember when I was about 14, this contract was up for renewal, and they were in the car talking about it, kind of laughing about it. I was in the back seat, and I said, well, you know, you didn't just marry my dad, but you got me too, and we're a package deal. And my dad was just like, yeah, we're a package deal. And now that I'm almost 24, that contract is back up for renewal. And my dad said something like, oh, well, remember what Jessica said, we're a package deal. And I was like, actually, I'm an adult now, and she's gonna be my mom no matter what. So this is all on you, boo-boo. And he was just like, oh. And of course, my bonus mom was like, that's right, you better watch it, boy. Don't worry though, I'm pretty sure she's gonna renew that contract. So in my family, we have a tradition that you can pick whatever you want for your birthday dinner. And when my bonus mom was growing up, her brother used this privilege as a weapon. My bonus mom's most hated meal in the entire world was tuna casserole with a side of peas. And what just so happened to be her brother's favorite meal in the entire world. So every year he would ask for that dinner as his birthday dinner, and my bonus mom grew up in a house where you ate what was put on your plate for dinner. You didn't get to decide that you were gonna eat it or go have chicken nuggets, none of that. But that never stopped her from trying to be sneaky about it. She had so many tricks for getting away with not eating the peas. At first she would stuff them under the rim of her plate, but then she got caught doing that, and so she spat them into her milk, but then she was told to drink all her milk, so finally she just stuffed her cheeks with the peas and then spat them out in the toilet. Literally anything in a book to not have to eat the pea.